we go right back to the phone lines, and we got a 586. If you call in and the line is busy, that means that we have a ton of callers right now that are calling in. So just you can be patient, or you can just continue to wait in, and I'll tell you when the call-in lines are open. 586, let's do it. Hey, I appreciate you calling in this morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Marcel. I'm calling in from Detroit.
Hey, what's up, Marcel? I know you tried to get in yesterday, man, so I appreciate you coming back on Friday to chop it up with me, man. You have some sort of opening monologue? You want to get something off your chest, or you want to dive right into these 5 questions?
First, I would just like to say I'm a huge fan of your show.
Thank you, man.
You make great content, and yeah, I watch you pretty much every day, so I'm a huge fan. So keep going.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you calling in from Detroit, and you watch the show. It's amazing to see kind of the landscape of all the Alabama football fans. I mean, it's such a large brand that it goes nationwide. That's why I think, it's made this channel so successful, is there's so many different pockets of the country that have Alabama fans for one reason or another. And I think a big reason of that is because of Nick Saban and the mentality that he started back in 2006 whenever he got here. And you see that kind of transform forward. Like, there was a caller yesterday, and I know a lot of people didn't agree with his points, talking about it was AJ from New York. But he was thinking about that time period when Nick Saban grabbed a ton of college football fans just because of his approach and his coaching style. With that said, man, Bama can win it all if this happens.
I think Bama can, but it'll be hard because, if you look at the offense, it's not consistent. But like I said, if we continue to have good drives and if we can get the ball out quick and have a good run game, I think we can do it. And obviously, if the defense steps up and get stops, I think we can.
The top 3 players for Alabama, who are they right now?
If you look at numbers, I'm a big numbers guy. So if you look at numbers, the freshman, Caleb Downs, he's been the most productive. Mm-hmm. I would definitely say him. Mm-hmm. I would say Jalen Merrill. Mm-hmm. And I would say Jermaine Burton as of right now.
Yeah. And look, those are great picks. Those might be my picks as well. You look at, because I'm with you. I'm a numbers guy, and so is David, our last caller. He's always chiming in with looking at the statistics and everything like that. And so the statistics right now for a freshman who just came into the University of Alabama, Caleb Downs has 63 total tackles, which leads the entire team. He has 2 interceptions. He has 1 pass breakup. And overall, his pro football focus grade has been really impressive for a freshman. I know he's been challenged by a lot of teams. He's a freshman, but we've seen him grow up on the season. Just for stats wise, Jalen Milroe is 19 of 153. He has 13 touchdowns. He has 5 interceptions. His longest is 79 yards. And he's been sacked 30 times for 212 yards, which is crazy. But his efficiency, which is 6th in the entire country, which is 175. And you're talking about 6th in the country behind guys who have a lot more attempts, but it is what it is. I mean, those are the statistics, and I think we've continued to see him climb upwards. And I think with Jermaine Burton, a guy who has certainly became the alpha of that offensive side of the ball. It's kind of crazy to see like a wide receiver take on that role. 23 receptions for 508 yards with 5 touchdowns. And he's really became the guy and just performing at an ultra high level. And I think, like I was saying earlier in the show, he's a guy who came back to earn money. I mean, you look at last year, I don't even know where he would have been taken in the NFL draft, 6th, 7th round or something like that. And this year, and granted, there's a ton of wide receivers, but he's going to be up there in terms of guys who make it to the NFL. Okay, what are your thoughts on Bama's run game overall? I know it's not overall flashy, but it's productive. And I thought last week against Tennessee, those 115 yards from Jace McClellan, they were earned yards. He's a tough running back. Coach Saban said he's one of the toughest players on the team. What's your take on this overall running back room?
I think it's pretty good. Like I said, I think we have personally 4 starting running backs, but I think we do need to be more effective in the run game, but it's kind of hard because offensive line doesn't, it's not really doing a good job as of right now. It's getting better, but it's not doing what it needs to do. So that's just my total take on it.
Yeah, and I think kind of to add on to that is you do have 4 running back starters, right? Jace, Roydell, and those guys are the vets. And then behind him, you have Jan Miller and you have Justice Haynes. And we can't forget about Richard Young, and nobody is. It's just like there's a lot of mouths to feed, and there's only so many guys that can carry the rock. And I think the important thing about a running back room is you have to keep feeding the guy who is performing at the highest level. Now, if Justice Haynes was in some capacity to get a bunch of, carries, I'm sure he could do it. But right now, Jace is that guy. He has a lot of experience. And the thing about this room is, and really think about, and I want to talk about this as well, is overall, Alabama is so healthy. They've done a great job kind of, getting the guys who have had, I think the only thing that Alabama's really dealt with besides Devontae Smith having a foot injury is ankle injuries. I think there was a hip injury from Emmanuel Henderson, but overall this team has remained relatively healthy, which is so important, especially going up into this, through 8 games played. And another thing about this running back room is they don't put the ball on the ground. And this is a physical game. This is a physical conference that these guys are going up against every single weekend, and they've done a really good job holding onto the football. So I like the running back room in that aspect because everybody remembers a fumble, right? Everybody remembers a missed field goal. These guys have done a really good job hanging onto the football this season. Who is this team's rising star? I know you already mentioned Caleb Downs, but when you think about other names on this team, who else kind of stands out? And I love David's pick about talking about Jalen Milroe. If things just click for Jalen Milroe, this team is going to a whole nother stratosphere of, in terms of talent. And I think he's getting there. But you talked about Caleb Downs. Is there anyone else on this team that you'd like to mention as a potential rising star?
It's just hard not to say Caleb Downs. He's a freshman. He has 39 tackles, I think, at safety. That's just my opinion. I think he has the potential to be a really high pick, but that's just my total take on it.
Yeah, and you look at other safeties that Coach Saban has had here, and they're different. You have Hightower, you have a Minkah Fitzpatrick, but Coach Saban literally told Chris Lowe of ESPN, and Chris Lowe has that hotline right into Coach Saban's office. And Saban's one of the, I think now he's been talking to McAfee more about kind of, other topical stuff. But in terms of like inside info, he gives Chris Lowe that. And he said that Caleb Downs is on pace and kind of what he has from a talent standpoint to be the best safety as a freshman he's ever had, which says so much. And, we have Barron inside the comment box says rising star Caleb Downs as well. Okay, look, Bama's not playing this weekend. What are you watching this weekend? I'm sure you're going to be watching Oregon, Utah. You also have Bryce Young and William Anderson going head-to-head on Sunday. But what's on your TV schedule, man?
I'll probably say I'll be interested in the Utah game because I think that'll be a good one. I also brought up, I wanted to say something else about Florida State. I brought up a good point yesterday. I think Florida State, I think they're going to be in the playoffs, but I think they're very inconsistent in terms of moving the ball, and their defense isn't as good as advertised. So that's just what I think of it.
Yeah, and I've been talking about Florida State a lot recently, and I'll be watching them. They play Wake Forest in the morning tomorrow on the road, and I think when you look at Florida State's schedule, the 2 games that stand out, going to the Swamp and taking on Florida, and then they host Miami, and then, of course, the ACC championship game. So kind of track where they stand, and I think they're more of a pretender, but Mike Norvell has done a great job, and they have momentum. That team, that team believes. They've been able to win some very tight games. Boston College, Clemson. You got to keep winning, and people want to see Florida State back in there. And I'm sure the committee is very high on Florida State, even though a lot of the other college football world isn't. But if Florida State had played Alabama's schedule, I don't know, what their record would be at this point in time. Anyways, I appreciate the call from Detroit, man, and please call again next time.
All right, thank you.
All right, man, take it easy. All right, we have a 720, a 479, and a 404 coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube.